Welcome to Andy's Garage. I'm Andy Phillips. Today I'm going to show you how to replace the oil pressure sensor, or also known as the oil pressure switch. Same difference on a 5.3 liter V8. This particular vehicle that I'm working on is a Chevy Trailblazer EXT, which has this engine. But if you have any other vehicles, trucks, SUVs that utilize this engine, it would be the exact same process. Let's go ahead and get started. Looking in here into the engine area here, you can see that I've already removed the intake manifold. You do not have to remove it to do this. It just makes it a lot easier. I'm actually doing some other work to this vehicle, so I had that off anyway. So while it's off, I'm fixing some other issues, which is why I have it all exposed back there. Now, if you're dealing with a Chevy Trailblazer with the 5.3 liter V8, then you can check out my video down in the description. Also have a link across the top where I show in depth how to remove the intake manifold, how to put it back on, torque it properly, all that. Other vehicles that utilize this same 5.3 liter V8, some of them the intake manifold was a little bit different. So once you get it to this point, this is where we're going to be starting this video. But if you come along here in the back, and we'll zoom in right back here, that is your oil pressure sensor or oil pressure switch. To the left of it is your camshaft position sensor. But this one here with the upright harness, that is the one that we're going to be replacing for this video. Now let me show you what we were encountering, which led us to this point that this sensor was bad. Our oil pressure gauge is not working properly. Take a look. You can see right here, the oil pressure gauge just goes all the way to the right and just drops right there. Doesn't work where it's supposed to build up accordingly. Most of the time, it's this little guy right here. This sensor is your problem if that happens. Some occasions it could also be the gauge, but most of the time it's this sensor. Let's head over here and I'll show you what's needed to complete this. These are the only items that you'll need. Obviously, you'll need your replacement sensor. You can pick these up anywhere, automotive stores, online. They're very easy to come by. They're not that expensive. Next, you will need a 1 1/16 inch socket. That's to go around the base of it there on that hex pattern to remove it. And then you will need a ratchet. First off, you always want to make sure when you're dealing with electrical stuff that you disconnect your battery. Coming in here, we're going to lift this little tab, pop out the harness, slide that off to the side here, and then we're going to put our 1 1/16 inch socket over this. Come right here, get a good fit on it, and then we're going to go ahead and rotate that off. There we go. Pull that out. Look at that. Let's get the new one and slide it in. Here's our comparison. Obviously the one on the right just came out. One on the left is the new one. So there they are. So what we're going to do is just pull this plug out that protects the harness. And now we can head over to the vehicle and put the new one in. Bring the new one in here. Screw it in by hand first. There we go. And it has that Teflon seal on there, which is not a bad idea. Bring this in, just turn it this way. Hand tighten first, then we'll be back. Now that we have this hand tightened, we're going to come in with the torque wrench. We're going to torque it just down to 15 foot-pounds. You do not want to over tighten this. Okay, 15 foot-pounds. Pull this off. Get this out. And now we'll bring the harness back. Plug it back in. And we're done. Now that we have that sensor replaced, let's go into the vehicle and we'll check the gauge, make sure everything's working fine. And that's how it should look. That oil pressure sensor, since the car is not on, should be nice and all the way on the left. As we saw at the beginning, it was flying all the way to the right. Everything is good. That wraps up this video on how to replace the oil pressure sensor or oil pressure switch on a 5.3 liter V8 General Motors engine. As I mentioned at the beginning, what we're working on here is a Trailblazer, so I'll have other videos down in the description pertaining to the Trailblazer if that's the vehicle that you're working on. But this wraps up this video. I hope it helped you out with any projects that you're working on with your oil pressure gauge, things like that. Please send me any questions and comments. I would love to hear from you. And as always, I appreciate all the support. Please like the video, subscribe to this channel as I'm constantly posting new content, and I'll see you next time.